Have you ever paused late at night, perhaps wondering how digital coins, unseen and swift, might be reshaping not just your wallet, but maybe the very rules of privacy and, well, global power? Tonight, we're taking a deep dive into that exact landscape. It's really evolving.
Yeah.
We'll explore the intriguing intersection where digital currency meets these big questions of privacy, the ever-present gaze of surveillance, and also the significant yet often subtle shifts happening in global finance.
Right. And our sources, they give a really fascinating look at the very latest developments.
They do.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, is the deep interconnectedness of it all. I mean, they might seem like separate things on the surface, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But as we dig a bit deeper, you'll see how innovations in one area kind of subtly ripple through and, influence the others. This whole deep dive is really about understanding how our digital world is quietly, but powerfully reshaping itself, often in ways we don't immediately see.
Right. And our mission for you, listening in, is to, well, pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge and maybe some surprising facts from these changes. We want to offer a clear, accessible understanding of these shifts, without just drowning you in information.
Exactly.
Think of us as your guides, maybe, helping you navigate this complex digital terrain, one interesting revelation at a time. So let's start with privacy in this digital age. I mean, as our digital footprint just keeps expanding, how can we genuinely protect our personal information, especially in a world that seems to be watching more closely than ever before?
Yeah, it's a huge question.
The challenge of digital surveillance, it feels like it's constantly escalating, and with it, the urgent need for stronger privacy tools.
Indeed. And one of the most compelling developments we found in our sources is this tool called CoverDrop.
CoverDrop, okay.
Yeah, it was founded by Dr. Mehdi Ahmed. He also started Open Origins, which is focused on data authenticity,
Oh, right.
So CoverDrop is specifically designed to protect whistleblowers. And it tackles a really critical vulnerability because even with end-to-end encryption, just the fact that someone talked to a journalist, well, that can be enough to single them out.
So it's not even about the message content necessarily.
Exactly. Surveillance doesn't always need to read the message. Just knowing that one-on-one connection exists, that can raise immediate red flags.
That's a profound challenge.
Yeah.
So, okay, how does CoverDrop actually work against that kind of surveillance? It sounds incredibly difficult to solve.
Well, the solution is actually quite elegant. It relies on what Dr. Ahmed calls an illusion of noise.
An illusion of noise. Interesting.
Yeah. CoverDrop achieves anonymity by basically generating and sending a massive amount of decoy encrypted message traffic. So imagine just vast quantities of fabricated encrypted messages constantly flowing between news platforms and all their readers. This essentially creates the illusion that every single reader is a potential whistleblower. It effectively drowns out any actual whistleblowers in this huge sea of digital noise, makes it incredibly hard for anyone watching to pinpoint specific people.
Wow. That is incredibly clever.
Yeah.
It really is like trying to find one drop of water in an ocean. A pretty unique approach to digital invisibility.
Precisely. And this strategy, it becomes even more crucial when you think about the rise of agentic AI.
Agentic AI.
Yeah, Dr. Ahmed points out that, mass data collection by governments, it's been happening for over a decade, but it was largely inefficient, right? Because you needed human analysts to manually sift through all that data, which was expensive and slow.
Made sense.
Agentic AI totally changes that.
Okay, so what is agentic AI in this context? How does it change things?
Well, think of it like this. Agentic AI lets intelligence agencies assign a dedicated AI agent to each individual person.
Each person. Seriously.
Yeah. And this AI agent can then autonomously track and analyze all their digital data. It compiles this astonishingly comprehensive profile of that person's activities, interactions, even their routines. And here's the key part. It does this at an incredibly low computational cost.
Oh, wow.
So what used to need thousands of human analysts, machines can now do easily and quickly. This is that emerging panopticon Dr. Ahmed warns about, where, pervasive surveillance becomes not just possible, but really, really efficient.
Well, it fundamentally shifts the privacy landscape. The idea of an AI specifically assigned to me, tracking everything I do online, that really does redefine the stakes for personal privacy.
It absolutely does. And Dr. Ahmed puts it quite starkly. He says, the threat has just escalated a lot, so the defense has to escalate a lot as well.
Makes sense.
It really underscores why tools like CoverDrop aren't just, useful anymore. They're becoming essential, safeguarding our privacy in this connected, monitored world. It's like a subtle but critical arms race playing out in code.
Okay, so moving from that quiet fight for privacy, let's shift gears a bit. Let's turn to the world of finance, because there's another sort of under-the-radar transformation happening there. We're talking about stablecoins. Now, these are cryptocurrencies designed to maintain a stable value, right? Usually pegged to something like the US dollar. What's really remarkable is how these digital coins are quietly reshaping the way money actually flows online globally.
They really are, and in a truly significant way. Noam Hurwitz, he's the head of engineering at Alchemy.
Okay.
He makes this bold claim that stablecoins are rapidly becoming the default settlement layer for the internet.
The default settlement layer. That sounds like a big statement.
It does. Maybe sounds like hyperbole.
Yeah.
But our sources suggest the data actually backs it up pretty strongly.
Really? Okay. What kind of evidence are we seeing for that?
Okay, so here's where it gets really eye-opening. Stablecoins. They've already surpassed giants like Visa and Mastercard in on-chain transaction volume.
Wait, surpassed Visa and Mastercard?
Yeah, by about 7%. And when we say on-chain, just to be clear, we mean transactions recorded directly, transparently on a public blockchain.
Right, immutable.
Exactly. This is a massive shift, and it's often overlooked, how digital money is moving. You've got major players like PayPal, Stripe. They're already integrating stablecoins to use this on-chain infrastructure. It lets them do faster, cheaper transactions. And Alchemy itself is powering a lot of these flows for companies like Robinhood Wallet, Visa, Circle, PayPal.
That 7% figure is just staggering. I mean, to think these relatively new digital assets are already outpacing such established payment networks. So beyond just speed and cost, what are the core advantages making them so attractive to these big companies?
Well, the benefits are pretty straightforward but powerful. Stablecoins make money cheap, fast, global, and secure to transfer. Simple as that, really.
Okay.
And these features have led to really broad adoption. You see it in cross-border payments, which, as you know, can be notoriously slow and expensive traditionally.
Oh, yeah.
And also in more niche areas like prediction markets. Polymarket is one example. They're fundamentally changing the sort of underlying plumbing of the internet's financial transactions. And, okay, here's another really insightful piece of this puzzle. Stablecoins, particularly Tether, USDT, they have become absolutely massive buyers of U.S. treasuries.
Buyers of treasuries like government debt.
Exactly. To put it in perspective, Tether alone holds around $113 billion in U.S. debt.
Wow.
And generated something like $13 billion in profits last year from that. But what's even more striking, Tether actually holds more U.S. treasuries than Germany does.
Than the entire country of Germany.
Yes, more than Germany.
That's incredible.
It really is. And this isn't just about a company making money. It kind of hints at a future where these private, maybe decentralized entities hold leverage that was traditionally reserved for nations, right? It could impact global economic stability in ways we're only just starting to grasp. It's a profound shift in who holds global financial power and influence.
That is a revelation that really makes you sit up and take notice. A private entity holding more U.S. treasuries than a major nation like Germany. Wow, that redefines who the significant players are. And it seems like traditional institutions are starting to recognize this too, right?
Absolutely. JP Morgan's Connexes is a perfect example.
Connexes.
Yeah, it's basically a tokenized bank deposit that JP Morgan launched on a public blockchain. It offers their institutional clients access to yield-bearing deposits with like 247 settlement and near real-time liquidity.
So big banks getting involved directly.
Exactly. It's a major milestone. And regulatory clarity is helping too. The recent passage of the U.S. Senate's Genius Act, bit of an acronym there, guiding and establishing national innovation for U.S. stablecoins. That's creating a clearer, more structured landscape. Less uncertainty for companies, which encourages more mainstream adoption and investment.
So it's not just the fintechs anymore. It's big traditional banks and even governments kind of paving the way. But surely it can't all be smooth sailing, right? What are some of the challenges stablecoins still face on this journey to becoming the internet's default settlement layer?
No, you're right. There are definitely challenges. I mean, the whole blockchain landscape is still pretty fragmented. That can complicate widespread adoption.
Sure.
Institutions, they need to carefully assess who they're dealing with, provide a reliability, manage counterparty risks. It's still a relatively new industry after all. And there's also a big need for deep technical expertise to really hide the underlying blockchain tech from the user experience, make it truly seamless.
Yeah, so people don't need to understand the tech to use it.
Exactly. Looking ahead, we'll probably see more financial services deploying their own dedicated blockchains, often called layer 2 networks, built on top of existing ones. They do that to better scale and, frankly, monetize their ecosystems. The ultimate vision, I think, is for seamless cross-chain interoperability, where all these different blockchains can talk to each other, exchange assets easily, creating this really connected, efficient, global financial system built on stablecoin rails.
A truly interconnected system.
Yeah. Now, just for balance, it's important to mention a contrasting view. It comes from the Bank for International Settlements, the BIS.
Okay, what do they say?
Well, they recently put out a report that kind of challenges the idea that stablecoins can fully serve as money in a modern financial system. They describe them more as digital bearer instruments, saying they resemble financial assets more than actual money.
Interesting distinction.
Yeah, they argue stablecoins fail critical tests for things like singleness, elasticity, and integrity that real money needs. So it's a valuable counterpoint to the more optimistic views, highlights that the debate is still ongoing.
That's definitely important context to keep in mind, understanding the full range of perspectives. Okay, so let's broaden our view now. Let's see how these themes, innovation, regulation, adoption, are playing out globally. Seems like there are some surprising moves from traditional players, but also new challenges cropping up for the industry.
For sure. Over in Kenya, for instance, some crypto startups are voicing significant concerns about a lobby group linked to Binance. It's called the Virtual Asset Chamber of Commerce, or VAC. They're worried that VAC might have sort of disproportionate influence over the new regulations being proposed for VASPs, that's virtual asset service providers, basically crypto businesses.
Right, the regulations.
Yeah. The core concern is that it could undermine fair competition in Kenya's digital asset industry. Some stakeholders are even claiming VAC is acting like a proxy for Binance. It just shows that tension between fast innovation and the careful work of creating regulatory frameworks and how different players try to shape things in their favor.
The very real-world example of how these big trends hit local markets. What about the ETFs space? Anything significant happening there beyond, the usual Bitcoin and Ethereum funds?
Actually, yes. An ETF provider called REX Shares seems to be right on the verge of launching the first ever Solana staking ETF.
Solana staking.
Well,
okay, that's new.
It is. Analysts like Eric Balchunas and Nate Gerasi, they seem pretty confident. They're saying all systems go after getting apparently successful feedback from the U.S. SEC. And this includes the SEC seemingly accepting a rare key core structure for the fund. Yeah, it means it's set up more like a traditional corporation, might appeal more to institutional investors. This could open up new, more conventional ways for investors to get exposure to crypto assets and maybe participate in their growth.
Interesting. And finally, what about one of the biggest names in the U.S. crypto scene, Coinbase? What's their recent activity tell us about where the industry is headed?
Well, Coinbase got a pretty significant nod recently from Time magazine. They were named one of the 100 most influential companies of 2025.
Wow, Time 100.
Yeah, labeled a disruptor. And Time highlighted their crucial role as a key driver of the industry's policy efforts in Washington, D.C. Plus, Coinbase also became the first crypto stock added to the S&P 500 index.
Oh, the S&P 500, that's big.
It really is. Being included in such a major index, it signals this growing acceptance, this integration of crypto into mainstream financial markets.
So putting all that together, what does it really mean? It feels like a clear signal that crypto is just steadily gaining more and more legitimacy, right? Not just as some niche tech, but like within traditional finance and even in those powerful policymaking circles.
Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of testament to how the industry just keeps evolving. Slowly, maybe, but surely solidifying its place. So as we gently bring this deep dive to a close, we've journeyed through quite a bit. The evolving landscape of digital privacy tools like CoverDrop. We glimpsed the profound reshaping stablecoins are doing in global finance. And we touched on some key regulatory shifts and adoption trends around the world. These topics, they can be complex for sure, but they are profoundly shaping our digital future, often in ways that are subtle, yet really far-reaching.
Yeah, And as we settle into the quiet of the night, maybe, you'll find a new appreciation for this intricate dance between innovation and personal privacy, and how even the smallest digital ripple can actually become a wave of pretty profound change.
And consider this, perhaps. In a world where digital money moves faster than ever, and data feels like it's just ever present, how might your understanding of these sort of unseen forces empower your own choices and perspectives tomorrow?
Something to think about. Until next time, rest easy.
And stay curious.